Hi, I'm Sandy Gardner here for this week's Studio Report on damage states, and we're going to talk to some of the team, see what they're working on.
Hi there, I'm Chris Smith. I'm the lead ship modeler.
So I'm Dan Tracy. I'm the senior technical designer here at Cloud Imperium Games.
I'm Casey Robinson. I'm the visual effects artist.
Forrest Steffen, technical artist at Cloud Imperium Games. So we're going to talk about, my opinion, the funnest thing of dogfighting, and that is all the effects that happen when you are blowing up your ship and taking down your friend in a vicious dogfighting match.
And it all starts with you, right, Chris?
So I start with the modeling of the pieces. Obviously, we kind of go through a little concepting phase of trying out different looks, and you know, put the model together and hook it all up. Put the little helpers on there for the effects, and then end up working with Dan quite a bit and trying to get the look right. This is basically the Hornet file as it stands. It has all the damage states visible right now, including the pristine states. And all these little green boxes that you see are basically an effect that will happen on any given damage state. There will be, these little helpers will be there for the effects guys, for Forrest, and then to add like a little spark or a little smoke and explosions and all that kind of stuff.
So Dan told me that you created around 100 damage states for the Hornet. Is that true?
Yes, I did. We wanted a lot of fidelity, a lot of, kind of, movie-like breakup, for these ships, lots of little pieces. So definitely, yeah, initially when you shoot at them, at the ship, you're going to have a lot of pieces flying around. So here we have, I've broken out a section of the tailpiece for the Hornet. Each ship will get broken out according to its obvious appendages, mostly like the cockpit, the wings, the tailpiece, and the midsection. And each of those individual modules will go through its damage states. So here you can see I have the pristine version, undamaged. And here you can see the 25%, which the paneling starts coming off, and you can see the little effect boxes, although on these little panels will go away. So this is like a sort of prototype stage, and as we're going, we're still adjusting things, and we just put effects on everything, and so basically we can try everything out and then take it away afterwards and edit ourselves. But we wanted to first have it all available for the effects artists so they can play around with it and see what looks the best. So this would be the 25% where just paneling comes off. And here we would have the 50% where a little bit bigger chunks would come off. So you have this little big piece that sort of flies off, and this little corner that will come off. Here the 75. Basically, the more you go, the further you go into the damage state, the bigger chunks just fly off. And eventually you land at 100%, where it's just a stub of the tail, and it's basically unusable. And at that point, either you're dead in the ship, or your ship's pretty much useless, and you're just floating in space.
Forrest, that gets a giggle because that means a lot of work, I'm assuming.
Yeah, everything is an effect that happens when you do it, so it's a good 100 effects to do.
I try to keep them busy.
High fidelity.
Basically, our 3D modelers are taking all of our ships and ripping them apart in every which way, ripping wings off, breaking the hulls in half, putting holes into the wing. And so my job is to go through every aspect that they have broken apart and make sure that there's an effect tagged to every piece of the ship. So if a panel gets ripped off, there's sparks that come with it. If you shoot the engine, you get a nice little explosion. So a visual aspect to kind of go along with the fun gameplay. All of our effects are tagged by helpers, and then how we know what effect to play with each helper is handled through scripts. And basically it's a big long text file that's 2,200 lines that tags everything together. So I have to go through all those and tell it the exact name of the effect that's going to play with the exact name of the helper that's tagged to the part of the ship that gets ripped apart. So for example, if a panel gets ripped off, we put a little helper right where the panel is, and then it gives it a name. Then in the script, I say, take this effect and play it with this helper at this exact moment when it happens in the dogfight. Here we go, there's the body. There's the hull, canopy, nose, still going, still going. Oh, there's the intake. Wing left, wing right, wing rear, panel. Thanks, Chris. Still going, another panel, still going, and done. That's a lot of code.
So when I originally get the pieces from Forrest, they have temp effects or older effects, and I'll go in and specifically create very unique wing explosion effects, or cockpit, or tail, or engine. So just to add more character to the breaking apart of each spaceship. What we have for the destruction stuff is a lot of fume effects explosions. So Fume Effects is a movie studio used program. What we're doing is we create fluid sims that you really only see in a movie for a few frames. We're talking maybe 60 frames worth of animation. And these sims can take weeks to create. And just to run through all the different things, the fuel and the burn off and creating the smoke. But when you see it in a movie, it happens in 2 seconds. So here's Fume Effects. We're going to go through kind of a little bit of what it's like working in it. So here I have an explosion. All of these points have different information that's creating the fluid sim. What I see in an output window might look something like this. So this is kind of the display, and this is what I'm going through. So I can scrub through here, and I can see my fire, I can see my smoke, I can kind of see how it rises a little bit. And then this sim might take a night, and I'll come in the morning, render it out, and I get something a little bit more like this. So this is kind of the first step of where the explosion might go. What's really nice is I can rotate around this and get different views of my explosion. So as I rotate around, we might get a completely different explosion just based upon a different camera angle. So depending on what we're looking for, that might be a better angle. This might work a little bit more. So one explosion can be used many times to get different elements. And again, this is something that has fire and smoke. So we might do a fire only, or we might do a smoke only, and add those together in a later process. And hopefully, if I do my job right, the visual effects look fantastic. In the video game, we're going to have a lot of these pieces that have that quality level, but you're going to see them over and over and over again. You're going to see them every single time you blow up a ship, blow off a wing. CryEngine allows us to really push how much texture space the visual effects are going to have. You couldn't do this in a video game 5 years ago. You couldn't do this in a video game 2 years ago.
So essentially, how many different points on the Hornet can I shoot at?
Right now there's currently 10 different parts. So we have like the cockpit, we have the 2 intakes left and right, the 2 main wings left and right, and then the rear wings as well as the tail, the engine housing, and then the main body. So with that, we have the engine housing is where your kind of main reactor is going to be, along with your main thruster. So that's going to be like the critical location. If you want to just outright destroy that ship, aim for the engines, right? So then that'll do like a big massive explosion that'll do like a catastrophic failure for like the body structure, and then this whole thing will just break apart into its own pieces, and then you'll see all these, like the cockpit drifting away, and then the wings drifting away as well. And if you're careful with that, the wings on the extremity, like you might be able to actually salvage those individual items that haven't been actually hit by any damage or any explosion yet. So you might be able to go in and recover that stuff within the persistent universe. So inside of the engine here, inside of Sandbox, I'm going to jump in. We set up a level here right now with the Hornet just in its destruction states. So we can actually just demo off how we're actually going to be shooting this thing and blowing off all these different pieces. So with just the weapon mount that we have currently set up, I got this level where we can actually just rotate the Hornet to shoot it wherever we want and actually see all the different particle effects that are actually coming off of this thing, both like on the tail and on all the individual wings here. So with that, we can actually see all these individual kind of destruction pieces going from like the 25% damage states to 50% to 75% from here. And how this is all actually glued together was all of Chris Smith's pieces that he actually modeled out within Max. And we had that, all of them separated out into their own kind of sub parts. I can actually show you here with this quick damage parts below. With each one of these, we had set up where we had like the cockpit be its own piece, the left and right intake being their own pieces, left and right wings, the rear wings, and also the tail, as well as the main body. So the actual main body is the one that's actually causing ship death. And from there, that's actually constitutes an actual ship destruction. But each one of these parts is actually going to house all of your different items. So we can actually start damaging off all the different intakes. So we can actually blow off like any of your hydrogen scoops that you're actually going to be having, or your in atmosphere kind of setups. Same thing with your wings. You have the destruction on your wings. You can see there on the left wing that I just blew off. You just lost your left gun. From there, which is no longer functional, and that's all damaged and gone away. You could even lose, you can see here underneath the actual wings, I have my landing gear. If I actually lose those wings, I might have to go in for a crash landing now in order to survive the actual landing, since my left wing with my landing gear is all gone. So I can actually get to the point where all of these parts are completely destroyed, but my ship is still intact. So we've actually gone way beyond like a lot of other games in terms of their destruction fidelity of how many different states this thing is actually going to be broken up into. And then when we actually destroy the main body here, you can actually see Casey's volumetric explosion that he's actually shown you guys already. So from there, that just shows off like how your Hornet is totally going to be blown up and able to be completely destroyed inside of the game. And we want to take that same fidelity to the rest of the ships throughout the game. But for now, like what we're doing with the point stuff for Dogfight, we're actually setting up some of the game modes so that you actually have, when you're damaging the ship, you're actually getting point values for that, blowing up different parts of the ship before you're actually destroying the ship itself. So then that way it's an incentive to actually see and cripple the ship before you actually kill the pilot, right? So then that'll be like an additional point value on top of that.
So you mean I get points for making him
exactly
bleed?
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
So you actually get
slow death.
Slow death. So you cut him up first, right? It's like I want to.
Wow, that's hardcore. There you have it, guys. See you soon.